Hello, fellas and ladies. I watched Captain America Brave New World, and guess what? It sucked. It's the new Marvel movie that's currently out, and this one focuses on Sam Wilson, and he's Captain America now, and now he's got to save the day, I guess. This movie's finally out after a production hellhole. It features plenty of reshoots, and let me tell you, you ever just fucking want to fucking, I'm pretty open that I'm fucking over the MCU. I'm just done with constantly backpedaling over these things. It's been on a consistent downward spiral, and for some reason people are just hell-bent on giving these movies a pass. If this movie didn't have a Marvel logo in front of it, granted, this one is being largely rejected, I will acknowledge that, but I still see people walking over eggshells just to justify them saying it's good, which is fine. That's fine. That's all fine and dandy, but come on. Why does it look like that? Why is the script so sloppy? Why is it failing at the one thing it was trying to do? If there's one thing I can say is Harrison Ford's pretty good. He does commit to this. I am liking this role that Harrison Ford's on with Shrinking and now this, where he seems to actually give a shit. I'm not saying he's groundbreaking, he doesn't save the movie, but he is good. I definitely, he didn't have a false note. Anthony Mackie didn't do anything wrong per se. I'm just so, he's so given nothing in these movies, but I'll get to that. And I guess, when I reviewed Deadpool Wolverine, when I watched that movie, I actually had genuine dread for the industry watching it. I didn't see that with this. I think this movie is rather innocent at the end of the day, but it's still just so bad. This movie was not a Captain America movie. This was a sequel to The Incredible Hulk. I saw reviews going in that this was a sequel to The Incredible Hulk and Eternals. I think the Eternals sequel thing was a little exaggerated, but Incredible Hulk, it's just an Incredible Hulk follow-up. Basically, just here to tie up loose ends from that movie. The villain is straight up from The Incredible Hulk. I'll get to the small things first. Visually, this movie's disgusting. This movie has insane green screen issues, but even the interior shots look really murky and gross. But yeah, the exterior shots with the greens are horrendous. The most notable one is the cherry blossom garden, and towards the end, I think everyone has figured out by now that looks atrocious. But even the fighter jet scenes are pretty gross. I think Red Hulk looks like shit. I think them marketing the hell out of Red Hulk was a mistake, as a lot of what this movie is setting that up. It's basically, they spoiled it in the trailer. It's definitely set up in the movie to be a big reveal, but the movie, we were all ahead of it because we all knew what was going to happen. Editing made me want to puke. There is 100 fast cuts, and these action sequences are so poorly put together that they have no choice but to focus on these insane edits. There's also plenty of moments during these action sequences where the director thinks he's the coolest guy on the planet, but it's so weird and lame. There's one shot in particular that sticks out where Giancarlo Esposito is unloading a revolver, and I just remember being it's just not as cool as you think it looks, buddy. Exposition through and through. The story, it's kind of nonsense. There's a lot going on in this movie that just kind of is muddy. They keep throwing us back and forth. It feels like this movie was trying to go Winter Soldier. That's obvious. But it does that without being cool. As a political thriller, this movie is so void of anything. It seems to have, going on this, political message of, let's just sing Kumbaya and be nice to each other. I'm well, thanks, Sam. You really got us. The character of Isaiah Bradley is a little interesting, but they don't do much with him. In fact, other than Harrison Ford and kind of Sam Wilson, they don't do much with any of the characters. There's this one girl in the movie that feels like you could have cut her completely and nothing would have changed. This new sidekick that Sam has, that I guess was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Well, I genuinely, it's been a while since I've seen that show. When I saw him, I just nothing came to mind. Then my girlfriend was just like, "That's from Captain America: Winter Soldier." Or Falcon Winter Soldier, they did change to Captain America: Winter Soldier. Technically, I'm right. So anyway, she was like, "That's from Falcon Winter Soldier," and I was like, "I genuinely nothing." And he was annoying. He annoyed me. There's a lot of side characters that kind of result in nothing. That just kind of pad nothing. You can honestly tell when the reshoots are happening too. And the funniest part is a lot of these actors are very clearly not in the same scene as everyone else, which was kind of funny. Yeah, but anyway, back to the story. There was recently a report that Netflix was trying to shove in this more exposition, so people who were on their phones could understand it more. And it's just is Marvel starting to do that too? Because So much of the movie is that just them kind of like doubling down and just being like, yes, this is the thing, and it's like, we know, like, we figured it out. Like, this movie has major tell don't show like issues, and I think the biggest crime of this movie, because a lot of this stuff is just standard bad Marvel nothing. Like, that's I'm not coming into these movies expecting to be mind blown anymore. Not that I ever was, but nowadays I'm just like, I'm expecting the worst. The least that this movie could have done was properly set up Sam Wilson to be Captain America, and he just didn't. Just as a character, Sam Wilson just never intrigued me, and that's not anything to do with Anthony Mackie. I feel like he does have the stuff, he's just never given anything to do. Just as a character, he never intrigued me. He's like a good side character that, like, is now Captain America. But in this movie, he's like, I feel like he's still the sidekick. Like, that's all I see from him. They try and give him something, this little imposter syndrome storyline but like, it happens so out of thin air, like with like an hour and a half left in the movie, where he's just like after all that, everything that happens in the movie, just like, I don't know if I'm right to do Captain America. And I'm like, the fuck did that come from? The fuck, you just throwing that at me right now? This movie's more interested in sewing up loose ends from the Incredible Hulk than like actually setting up the leader of the Avengers. Because this movie keeps on throwing itself around with this character. Like, there's one scene where he's like being hired for something, and then the next scene he's like, nah, never mind, you're fired. I just didn't see anything with Sam that I'm supposed to be watching the next Avengers movie, go like rooting for him to lead this team. I don't feel that with him. I can't even feel him as the leader of this one sidekick character. I think Marvel just doesn't really know what to do with this guy. They're just like, we need, like, all right, we'll pass the shield down to him, but now we actually got to do something with him. Steve Rogers, there was always something to root for with him, like that feeling that he lost out. Whereas Sam, he has the imposter syndrome thing, but it just doesn't land. And again, I know the Funko Pop crowd is gonna be like, no, it's just mindless fun. I'm fucking tired of that excuse, okay? This is the biggest franchise on the planet, alright? We have to hold it to a higher standard. Like, we have to. A movie that costs $180 million can't look like this, when there are movies like The Brutalist, which cost $10 million, that looks like this. The Green Knight, look at what that looks like in comparison to this. I Saw the TV Glow, Sing Sing. These incredible looking movies that don't even cost a fraction of what this movie's marketing budget was. And we're just kind of like okay with it because it's Marvel. We're like, no. I'm not in on this. Like, oh, it's okay that it's bad because it's Marvel. No. Like, there are moments where I genuinely was gasping how bad it looked, how choppy the editing was, and just how, like, forced this emotional thing on Sam was towards the end. I was just like, are you, like, seriously trying to do this now? It's the best way I can put it is, you can tell this is a movie that went through production hell. And also, the credit scene is so funny. It's so shitty. I felt like, so funny story, I was telling my girlfriend about the Morbius end credit scene where Michael Keaton's like, I wonder if the food here is better, and also going like, I think this has to do with Spider-Man, and then Jared Leto goes, intriguing. Genuinely, I was telling her about that, and then it was kind of that. This credit scene was kind of that, like a step above, because it wasn't like the Morbius credit scene, but it was generally just like, oh, here's what's gonna happen, like a guy telling you, oh, this is what's coming, this is what's gonna happen. Movie end. I'm like, great. I'm glad I stayed for that. Was it just Kevin Feige, like, grabbing the director by the collar and going, listen to me, you son of a bitch. You want to work at this town again? You're going to end the credit scene. And Kevin Feige doesn't seem to give a fuck anymore, so it was good to go, I guess. Honestly, I'm fucking tired of giving the biggest franchise in the world a pass, because Captain America Brave New World is just horrible. The visuals are horrendous. The editing makes me nauseous. As a political thriller, it's empty. As an action movie, it's empty. As a superhero movie, it's empty. As a movie meant to set up the new leader of the Avengers, it's nothing. It doesn't care about Sam Wilson at all. It's just not focused enough to give us any reason to care about this guy. This movie was simply not good, pretty terrible, and I'm giving it 2 Harrison Fords out of 10. I don't give a shit. I'm done with this franchise. Like, I'm really, like, Thunderbolts looks good, Fantastic Four looks good, but I'm going with low expectations. I don't care. I'm done. I'm done being tricked. I mean, this one I knew was gonna be shitty, but like, the next 2, they're gonna be bad too. I just know it. Alright, if you're a Marvel fan, don't yell at me. Let's grab and share. Bye-bye now. Leave me.